This year, a lot of you asked how to make a vegan main dish, and not just any vegan main dish, but maybe like a show-stopping main dish for the centerpiece of your table. And this roasted butternut squash dish keeps popping into my feed year after year, and I have never made it until now. So come along with me, let's make it together. We will see how does it taste, is it easy, is it difficult, and we'll find out, is this dish worthy of being a vegan main dish showstopper. So today's recipe is actually from It Doesn't Taste Like Chicken. As you guys probably know, I love Sam's recipes. Everything I've made from her has been amazing. So I do have high hopes for this recipe. And as per usual, I will link it down below in case any of you want to try this out and make this for yourselves. First thing we need to do is to preheat our oven because we are actually going to roast our butternut squash first. Okay, with our oven preheating, we are just going to give this a quick rinse, slice it down the middle, and then bake it. Now you do need to be a little bit careful when slicing your butternut squash. It can be a little bit tough to cut through the skin, so just be very careful when you do it. Okay, the original recipe actually recommends that you roast the squash halves cut side up with a little bit of olive oil on them. I'm gonna try and do this oil-free, so I'm going to roast them cut side down because I just find that that locks in a lot of the moisture and I've never really needed oil before, so let's try it that way. Okay, I've just set the timer to 45 minutes. The squash might take a little bit longer than that, but we will check it at 45 minutes because for this dish, we don't want it to get too soft since we're using the butternut squash for the presentation itself. If it's too soft, it'll fall apart. So now with that cooking, let's go ahead and assemble the filling part, AKA the stuffing. We're actually going to be using wild rice for the filling. Now in the original recipe, Sam does call for a combination of wild rice and white rice. However, she mentions that you need to check the cook time on your wild rice. And since mine cooks for 45 minutes on the stovetop, I'm thinking it's gonna be a lot easier just to cook it in the Instant Pot. But if you don't have an Instant Pot, I'm sure the stovetop will work just as well. Now, luckily, I also have a lot of veggies prepped already from the previous meal prep that I did. So there's a little bit less work for the washing and chopping of carrots and celery. I do recommend if you are washing and chopping some celery and carrots for this recipe, just cut a little bit extra, pop them in a Tupperware, and then you have perfect little veggie snacks. You can use them for a veggie tray. If you were gonna do that as a holiday appetizer or even just to snack on in your fridge, work smarter, not harder, my friends. But we do still need to chop the onion and garlic, so let's go ahead and get that done, and then we'll pop everything into the Instant Pot. So the good thing about the Instant Pot is that it does have a saute function, so it basically works the same as sauteing on the stovetop. So we're just gonna start by sauteing the onion first. You just wanna press your saute button until it reads normal. That is like a medium heat temperature. And the time doesn't really matter here because we're going to shut it off after a couple minutes of sauteing. So I just like to stand close by and stir it as it cooks. And we're gonna start with the onion first and then quickly add in the garlic, carrots, and celery. So once everything's done sauteing, you just want to press the cancel button. And now let's go ahead and measure out 1 cup of wild rice. We're also going to give that a quick rinse and then add it into the Instant Pot. We'll also quickly add in the 2 cups of veggie broth. And I'm gonna cook this on high pressure for 20 minutes. Since the stovetop directions say 45 minutes, I think that usually it's about half. And so now with that cooking away, we'll just wait for our butternut squash to finish. And so far, this recipe is pretty easy. It doesn't require a lot of hands-on cooking, which I love. Okay, the butternut squash has just come out of the oven, and we're just gonna see if it is done cooking, basically if it's fork tender. Again, we don't want it too soft because then it won't hold together in the end. So basically we're just looking to make sure the flesh, the inside part, is soft enough to scoop out. So it does look good. My fork can pierce all the way through, which is what we're looking for. And just make sure you check both sides. Okay, it's looking pretty well cooked, so I'm just going to let it cool a bit. And with wild rice cooking in the Instant Pot and the butternut squash cooling, let's go ahead and get the other ingredients together that are going to go into the filling. Let's just go ahead and get them all together in a bowl so we can just pour in the whole bowl when it's done cooking. We're going to need a ½ cup of chopped walnuts, ½ cup of dried cranberries, ½ a teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon black pepper, and then some sage and thyme. I'm just using both fresh sage and thyme here because I like to get this little poultry herb blend. This actually has sage, thyme, rosemary, and parsley in it. So it's just kind of the perfect little pre-packaged spice blend. And so since I have fresh thyme in this package, I'm just gonna throw that in with the fresh sage. We'll just chop both of those up together. And then this mixture is now ready to add into our rice mixture once it's done cooking. The last thing we need to do to get ready is to scoop out the flesh from our butternut squash. So we're just going to scoop it into little kind of bite-sized pieces because this will also be added into the rice mixture once it's done cooking. And then also keep in mind that you want the butternut squash skin to stay kind of intact. So you don't need to scoop it out perfectly. In fact, I think leaving a little bit of the butternut squash flesh inside the skin is gonna help give it some shape. As you can see, I've left kind of a border of flesh around the edges. And again, I think that's just gonna help give it some shape. And then we'll scoop out the rest from the other side. I just heard the wild rice beep that it is done cooking, so we're just gonna let the pressure come down naturally for about 10 minutes, and then we'll be ready to add in the other ingredients to that mixture. So now the recipe actually gives two options for finishing this off. You can either finish everything in one day, or you can break it into 2 days. So if you do have a lot of other things to do on the day of your holiday meal, you might want to consider breaking this into 2 days. And then the day that you're ready to serve, you just assemble everything and bake it for about 20 to 30 minutes. So we're gonna test that out and see how that goes, because I think that most people would want to do the prep ahead option. It does seem a lot more convenient just to get one more thing done the day before, and that way you're not as rushed the day of. So I'm just gonna carefully package up the stuffing and of course the butternut squash shell and add that to the fridge, and then we'll bake everything together tomorrow. Okay, it is the next day. We are ready to bake up our roast. So all we need to do is take it out of the fridge and assemble it. And I actually reread the directions and read that you can assemble it the day before and just put the whole thing already assembled into the fridge, which will make it a lot easier to just take it out and bake it. But I think either way is fine. We are just going to assemble it right now and pop it in the oven. So the roast is roasting. We're gonna bake this for 30 minutes and then we are going to try this together. I'm really excited because honestly, this has been really easy to make. I think it's definitely doable even for novice or beginner cooks. And I think it's gonna make a really nice centerpiece on a holiday table. As long as the taste is good, that's gonna be the final deciding factor. Look at our cute little roast. It turned out so well. I love how it got like nice and golden brown on the top, and it honestly, it smells amazing. I'm so excited to plate this up and cut into it. I mean, I know my plate looks really plain right now, but just imagine this with a lot of other side dishes. I think this will be a great complement to them. Let's go ahead and taste this. Tastes like fall and Christmas combined. It's really, really flavorful. I love the crunch from the walnuts and the sweetness from the cranberries. This is really good. I am so glad that turned out well because honestly, it was also really simple to make. Like I said, I think anybody could make this quite easily. There's the prep ahead option, so if you have a lot going on the day you want to serve it, you won't feel rushed to get this together in one day. And I really think it's a dish that everyone will enjoy. The only thing I'm thinking to jazz it up if you wanted to would be to add a little bit of vegan sausage into the filling. Something like Beyond Meat, I think would just really take it up a notch, especially if it's for a special occasion. But other than that, I mean, even if you wanted to leave it just as is, I think it is delicious. It's healthy, it's veggie forward, and its presentation is really beautiful. So if you are still looking for a healthy holiday main dish, give this one a try. I'm gonna link the recipe down below. And if you're looking for a couple side dishes to go along with the main dish, check out this video here. It has all of your healthy holiday inspiration.